The cerulean moons of Thalassia IV cast an eerie glow across the windswept plains as Commander Alaric Voss trudged through the knee-high purple grass. His exosuit's sensors chirped incessantly, cataloging the alien flora and analyzing the atmosphere's composition. But Alaric paid them little heed. His attention was fixed on the horizon, where a plume of smoke rose ominously against the star-studded sky. "Control, this is Voss," he said into his comms. "I've got eyes on the crash site. Moving to investigate." "Copy that, Commander," came the crisp reply from Lieutenant Samira Khoury, back at the research station. "Proceed with caution. We're still getting some strange energy readings from that area." Alaric acknowledged and pressed forward, his hand resting instinctively on the plasma pistol at his hip. As he neared the impact zone, the acrid smell of burning metal and scorched earth filled his nostrils, even through the suit's filters. The crashed vessel was unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was organic in shape, more reminiscent of a massive, iridescent seashell than a spacecraft. Tendrils of smoke curled from a jagged gash in its side, and a viscous, bioluminescent fluid leaked slowly onto the ground. "Control, are you seeing this?" Alaric whispered, activating his suit's visual feed. "Affirmative," Samara responded, her voice tinged with awe. It's not in our database. This technology is completely alien to us." Alaric approached cautiously, his scanners working overtime to analyze the strange material of the ship's hull. As he neared the breach, a low, keening sound emanated from within. It was a sound of pain, of distress, and unmistakably alive. "There's something in there," he reported, heart racing. "I'm going in." "Commander, wait for backup." Samara's protest was cut short as Alaric ducked into the opening. The interior of the craft was bathed in a soft, pulsating light. Organic curves and swirls adorned the walls, which seemed to breathe and shift subtly. But Alaric's attention was immediately drawn to the center of the chamber, where a massive creature lay writhing in obvious agony. It was easily twice his size, with a serpentine body covered in iridescent scales. Multiple limbs ended in delicate, multi-jointed appendages, and a frilled crest surrounded its elongated head. But what struck Alaric most were its eyes, large, luminous, and filled with an intelligence that sent a shiver down his spine. The alien's gaze locked onto him, and in that moment, Alaric felt a presence brush against his mind. Images and sensations flooded his consciousness, pain, fear, and a desperate plea for help. "It's telepathic," he gasped, staggering under the weight of the alien's thoughts. As his vision cleared, Alaric noticed something else. The creature's abdomen was distended and undulating rhythmically. With a jolt of realization, he understood it was pregnant and in labor. "Control," he said, his voice shaky. "We've got a situation here. The alien, it's about to give birth." "Commander, you need to get out of there now," Samara insisted. "We don't know what." But Alaric was already moving closer, driven by an instinct he couldn't explain. The alien's mental touch grew stronger, conveying gratitude and trust. It knew it was dying, but its only concern was for its unborn offspring. "I can't leave it," Alaric said firmly. "I'm going to help." What followed was a blur of activity. Guided by the alien's telepathic instructions and his own limited medical training, Alaric assisted in the birth of two small, serpentine creatures. They emerged from their parent's body in a gush of bioluminescent fluid, their tiny forms wriggling and chirping weakly. As Alaric cradled the newborns, the dying alien reached out one trembling limb. Its claw-like fingers brushed Alaric's helmet, and a final burst of telepathic energy surged through him. In that moment, he understood. The alien was entrusting its children to him, naming him their guardian and protector. With a shuddering gasp, the massive creature's eyes dimmed, and its body went still. Alaric stood in stunned silence, the reality of what had just transpired washing over him. In his arms, the two hatchlings curled against him, their tiny bodies already imprinting on his bioelectric field. "Control," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "The adult alien is dead. But I've got two newborns here. And I think they've bonded with me." "Commander Voss," Samara's voice was a mix of concern and disbelief. "What are you saying?" Alaric looked down at the small creatures nestled against him, their luminous eyes gazing up with complete trust and dependence. In that moment, he knew his life would never be the same. "I'm saying," he replied, a note of determination creeping into his voice, "that I just became the adoptive father of two alien hatchlings. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning of something much bigger than we could have ever imagined." As if in response, the ship around them hummed to life, its organic systems reacting to the presence of the newborns. Displays flickered with strange symbols, and the air thrummed with untapped energy. "Alaric," Samara's voice was urgent now. "We're detecting a massive power surge from the crash site. What's happening?" But Alaric barely heard her. His attention was fixed on the hatchlings, who had begun to glow with an inner light. As he watched in amazement, tendrils of energy passed between the newborns and the ship's systems, forming intricate patterns in the air. "I don't know what's happening," he breathed, "but I think these little ones are more important than we could have ever imagined. And whatever comes next, I'll be damned if I let anything happen to them." With that declaration, Alaric Voss stepped into a new chapter of his life, one that would take him across the stars, challenge everything he thought he knew about the universe, and ultimately test the very limits of what it means to be human in a vast and wondrous cosmos. The journey back to the research station was a blow of confusion and urgency. Alaric cradled the alien hatchlings close to his chest, their tiny bodies pulsing with an otherworldly glow. As he approached the station's airlock, he could see the faces of his fellow researchers pressed against the windows, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. "Commander Voss," Dr. Einar Solberg's voice crackled over the comms, "you are to report directly to quarantine. Do not, I repeat, do not bring those creatures into the main facility." Alaric gritted his teeth. "Negative, Doctor. These hatchlings need immediate care. They won't survive in quarantine." "That's an order, Commander," Einar snapped. "We can't risk." But Alaric was already overriding the airlock controls. As the inner doors hissed open, he strode purposefully into the station's main atrium. A crowd had gathered, and a ripple of gasps and murmurs swept through them as they caught sight of the alien infants. Lieutenant Samira Kuri pushed her way to the front, her dark eyes wide with concern. "Alaric, what have you done?" Before he could respond, one of the hatchlings let out a high-pitched trill. The sound reverberated through the atrium, and suddenly every piece of electronic equipment in the vicinity flickered to life. Displays lit up with cascading symbols, and the station's AI assistant began spouting a stream of incomprehensible data. "They're interfacing with our systems," Samara breathed, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. Dr. Solberg burst into the atrium, his face flushed with anger. "Commander Voss, I gave you a direct order." His words died in his throat as he laid eyes on the hatchlings. The smaller of the two had unfurled delicate, translucent wings and was now hovering at eye level with Alaric. Its gaze locked onto Einar, and suddenly the scientist staggered back, clutching his head. "My God," Einar gasped. I can hear them. In my mind." Alaric nodded grimly. "They're telepathic, and I think they've chosen me as their guardian." The larger hatchling chirped in agreement, nuzzling against Alaric's neck. As it did so, a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the atrium. Three-dimensional star charts and complex equations swirled in the air, depicting celestial bodies and energy patterns none of them had ever seen before. "This is incredible," Samara murmured, her fingers dancing over her datapad as she tried to capture the information. "It's like they're giving us a roadmap to their homeworld," Alaric finished. He didn't know how he knew, but the certainty resonated through him like a struck tuning fork. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights bathed the atrium in an ominous glow. "Proximity alert," the station's AA announced. Unknown vessels entering orbit. Energy signatures matched the crashed ship. Alaric's blood ran cold. He remembered the alien mother's final telepathic message, a warning of pursuit, of danger. Whatever was coming, it was after these hatchlings. "We need to evacuate," he said, his military training kicking in. "Now." But even as he spoke, a tremor ran through the station. The hatchlings keened in distress, and Alaric felt a wave of fear and urgency wash over him through their mental link. "They're here," he whispered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a terrifying sight. A massive organic ship, pulsing with the same bioluminescent energy as the crashed vessel, loomed over the station. Tendrils of living metal snaked out, latching onto the hull. "Attention, human facility," a guttural voice boomed through the comms. "You harbor stolen property of the Zarketh Imperium. Surrender the hatchlings immediately, or be destroyed." Panic erupted in the atrium. Researchers scrambled for escape pods, while security personnel rushed to arm themselves. But Alaric stood firm, the hatchlings clinging to him tightly. "Like hell," he growled. In that moment, something extraordinary happened. The hatchlings' bodies began to glow even brighter, and Alaric felt a surge of energy course through him. Knowledge and power he couldn't comprehend flooded his mind. With a thought, he accessed the station's systems. Defenses he didn't even know existed came online, shields strengthening and weapons powering up. Through the hatchlings, Alaric could sense the station itself becoming an extension of his will. "Commander," Samara gasped, staring at her readings. "The alien ship, its powering weapons." Alaric closed his eyes, focusing on the newfound connection between himself, the hatchlings, and the station. As the Zarketh vessel fired, he instinctively raised a hand. A shimmering energy barrier sprang into existence, absorbing the attack. "Impossible," Dr. Solberg breathed. But Alaric wasn't finished. With another thought, he directed the station's own weapons. Beams of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the alien ship with pinpoint accuracy. The massive vessel shuddered, its organic hull buckling under the assault. "This is Commander Alaric Voss of Thalassia Research Station," he broadcast, his voice resonating with an authority he'd never felt before. "The beings you seek are under my protection. Leave now or face the consequences." For a tense moment, silence reigned. Then, with a sound like tearing metal, the Zarketh ship disengaged. It limped away, trailing debris and leaking energy. As the immediate danger passed, Alaric felt the power drain from him. He swayed on his feet, suddenly exhausted. Samara rushed to support him, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and awe. What just happened?" she asked. Alaric looked down at the hatchlings, who had curled up contentedly in his arms. "I think," he said slowly, "we've just been thrust into the middle of an intergalactic conflict. And these little ones, they're the key to everything." Dr. Solberg approached cautiously, his earlier anger replaced by grudging respect. "It seems, Commander, that your disobedience may have saved us all. But now we face a greater question. What do we do next?" Alaric straightened, his resolve hardening. "We protect them. We learn from them. And we prepare. Because something tells me the Zarketh won't give up so easily." As if in agreement, the hatchlings trilled softly. And in that moment, surrounded by the wreckage of their old understanding of the universe, the inhabitants of Thalassia Research Station knew that nothing would ever be the same again. In the days following the Zarketh attack, Thalassia Research Station buzzed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The two alien hatchlings, now named Nova and Orion by Alaric, had become the center of intense study and speculation. Dr. Lyra Chen, the station's xenobiologist, peered intently at the holographic readouts floating above her workstation. "It's astounding," she murmured, her fingers dancing over the controls. "Their genetic structure is unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's as if they're able to rewrite their own DNA on the fly." Alaric stood nearby, Nova perched on his shoulder while Orion floated lazily nearby, its translucent wings shimmering. Any idea why the Zarketh want them so badly? He asked. Lyra shook her head. Not precisely, but if I have to guess, I'd say it's related to their ability to interface with technology. The way they merged with our systems during the attack, it's beyond anything in our understanding of cybernetics or AA. As if on cue, Orion chirped and zipped over to a nearby console. The moment its delicate appendages touched the surface, the screen erupted in a cascade of alien symbols and equations. There they go again, Samara said, rushing to capture the data. It's like they're trying to tell us something, but we can't quite grasp it yet. Alaric felt a familiar tingle in his mind. The hatchlings attempting to communicate. Over the past few days, he'd gotten better at interpreting their telepathic messages, but it was still like trying to understand a language made of colors and emotions rather than words. I think, he said slowly, they're showing us star maps. Locations of others like them. Dr. Solberg, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Commander, I think it's time we discuss the elephant in the room. These creatures, remarkable as they are, pose a significant risk to Earth and her colonies. The Zarketh will come back, and in greater numbers. We need to consider our options. Alaric's jaw tightened. He knew what Einar was implying. The possibility of using the hatchlings as bargaining chips, or, worse, weapons. They're not bargaining chips, Doctor. They're living beings who've placed their trust in us. In me. I understand your attachment, Alaric, Einar said, his tone softening slightly. But we have to think about the bigger picture. The fate of humanity could be at stake. Before Alaric could retort, alarms blared throughout the station. Samara's fingers flew over her console. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. They're not Zarketh. I've never seen configurations like these before. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a breathtaking sight. A fleet of sleek, crystalline ships had appeared in orbit around Thalassia IV. They pulsed with an inner light that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around them. Suddenly, Nova and Orion began to glow brightly, their bodies vibrating with excitement. A wave of joy and recognition washed over Alaric through their mental link. They're not hostile, he said with certainty. They're here for Nova and Orion. They're their people. As if in confirmation, a melodious voice resonated through the station's comm systems. Greetings, protectors of the Lumina children. We are the Aetheri, guardians of the cosmic balance. We come in peace and gratitude. The atmosphere in the lab was electric. Lyra's eyes were wide with wonder. First contact, real, peaceful first contact. But Alaric's attention was on the hatchlings. Through their link, he was bombarded with images and sensations. The vastness of space, the flow of cosmic energies, and a sense of purpose so profound it took his breath away. They're not just any avian species, he said, his voice filled with awe. They're caretakers of the universe itself. The Lumina, the Aetheri, they maintain the balance of energy across galaxies. Samara's brow furrowed, and the Zarketh. Cosmic parasites, Alaric replied, the knowledge flowing through him. They seek to disrupt the balance, to siphon off the energy of entire star systems for their own gain. Dr. Solberg's face had gone pale. My God, and we're caught in the middle of this cosmic war. Before anyone could respond, a shimmering portal opened in the center of the lab. A tall, ethereal being stepped through, humanoid in shape, but composed of swirling energy and light. I am Zephyra, emissary of the Aetheri, the being said, its voice like chimes in the wind. We have come to guide the Lumina children home. But first, we must ask for your help. Alaric felt Nova and Orion's excitement, but also a deep reluctance to leave. They had bonded with him, with this place. What kind of help? He asked. Alaric looked at Nova and Orion, feeling their trust, their hope. He thought of the wonders they'd shown him, the potential for discovery and growth. But he also thought of the danger, the responsibility. I don't think this is a decision I can make alone, he said finally. Zephyra's form shimmered with approval. Wise words. We do not ask for an immediate answer. Contemplate, discuss among yourselves. But know this, the path ahead is fraught with challenges, but also with wonders beyond your imagining. The cosmos itself awaits. As the ethery emissary faded away, leaving the humans to grapple with their new reality, Alaric felt a tugging at his mind. Nova and Orion gazed up at him, their eyes filled with trust and expectation. In that moment, he knew that whatever humanity decided, his path was already set. The stars were calling, and with these remarkable beings at his side, he was ready to answer. The decision to accept the ethery's proposal was not made lightly. After days of intense debate and careful consideration, Elif's leadership agreed to a bold new initiative, Project Lumina. Thalassia Research Station would be converted into a top-secret facility dedicated to studying and nurturing Nova and Orion, while preparing humanity for its new role in the cosmic balance. Months flew by in a whirlwind of discovery and preparation. Alaric, now officially designated as the Luminous Primary Guardian, worked tirelessly with the research team to unlock the secrets of the young alien's abilities. "It's extraordinary," Dr. Chen exclaimed one day, reviewing the latest test results. "Their rate of growth and adaptation is off the charts. It's as if they're evolving in real time, incorporating aspects of our technology and even our biology into their own systems." Alaric nodded, watching as Nova and Orion, now the size of large dogs, playfully manipulated holographic star charts with their minds. "They're learning so fast. Sometimes I feel like they're the ones teaching us." Samura, who had been monitoring deep space communications, suddenly sat up straight. "We've got incoming transmissions. It's the Zarkef. They found us." Alaric's blood ran cold. They had known this day would come, but he had hoped for more time. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less," Samura replied grimly. Alarms blared throughout the station as emergency protocols kicked into gear. Dr. Solberg burst into the room, his face etched with worry. "The evacuation ships are prepped and ready. We need to move now." But as the humans scrambled to enact their escape plan, Nova and Orion remained calm. They floated to Alaric's side, their bodies pulsing with an inner light. Through their mental link, Alaric felt a surge of determination and excitement. "Wait," he said, holding up a hand. I think they want to face this head-on." Before anyone could argue, the young Lumina began to glow brightly. Tendrils of energy snaked out from their bodies, interfacing with the station's systems. Suddenly, the entire facility hummed to life in a way it never had before. "By all that's holy," Dr. Chen whispered, staring at her readings. They're transforming the station, integrating with it on a molecular level." Alaric felt the change too, as if the very walls around them were becoming an extension of Nova and Orion's consciousness, and by extension his own. "We're not running," he announced, his voice filled with newfound confidence. "We're taking the fight to them." The next few hours were a blur of activity as the station prepared for battle. Under Nova and Orion's guidance, weapons systems were upgraded, shields were reinforced, and propulsion systems were enhanced beyond anything human science had achieved. As the Zarkef fleet dropped out of hyperspace, Thalassia Station was ready. No longer a simple research facility, it had become a formidable battleship, pulsing with Lumina energy. "Multiple hostile contacts," Samura reported, her voice tense. "They're charging weapons." Alaric stood at the center of the command deck, Nova and Orion floating serenely beside him. Through their link, he could sense the movements of the enemy ships, predict their strategies. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered, prepared to return fire. The battle that ensued was like nothing any of them had ever experienced. Thalassia Station danced through space, dodging energy blasts and retaliating with weapons that seemed to bend the very fabric of reality. Nova and Orion worked in perfect harmony, their powers amplified by the station's systems. But the Zarkef were relentless. For every ship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "We can't keep this up forever," Dr. Solberg warned, monitoring the station's power levels. Alaric felt a tug at his mind. Nova and Orion were trying to tell him something, show him something. A way out, a path to safety, but it would require a leap of faith. "Everyone, hold on to something," he shouted. "We're about to try something crazy." With a thought, he directed Nova and Orion's energy into the station's drive systems. Space itself seemed to warp around them, stars blurring into streaks of light. And then, with a flash that momentarily outshone the sun, Thalassia Station vanished. When reality reasserted itself, they found themselves in a completely different star system. The Zarkef fleet was nowhere to be seen. What just happened?" Samara asked, her voice shaky. Alaric took a deep breath, still reeling from the experience. "I think we just discovered a new form of faster-than-light travel, courtesy our Lumina friends here." As the crew celebrated their narrow escape, Alaric felt a bittersweet pang. They had survived, yes, but now they were far from home, in uncharted space, and something told him their journey was just beginning. Nova and Orion nuzzled against him, their mental touch conveying both apology and excitement. They had saved the humans, yes, but in doing so, they had set them on a path of no return. A journey that would take them to the farthest reaches of the galaxy and beyond. As Alaric gazed out at the unfamiliar stars, he couldn't help but smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, human and Lumina, bound by friendship and a shared destiny among the stars. "All right, team," he said, turning to face his crew. "Let's see what's out there." Months had passed since Thalassia Station's daring escape. The transformed research facility, now christened the Starship Lumina, had been on a journey of discovery through uncharted regions of space. Nova and Orion, growing larger and more powerful by the day, continued to amaze and challenge their human companions. As they explored, they encountered wonders beyond imagination, living nebulae that sang in cosmic harmonies, planets with silicon-based life forms, and the ruins of ancient civilizations that spanned galaxies, but always the shadow of the Zarkef loomed. "We've got something," Samara announced one day, her eyes fixed on the long-range scanners. A massive energy signature, like nothing we've ever seen before. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that took their breath away. A colossal structure hung in space, a web of interconnected platforms and stations that seemed to straddle the very fabric of reality. Nexus Prime, Alaric breathed, the knowledge flowing into his mind through his link with Nova and Orion. It's a cosmic waypoint, a crossroads between dimensions. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. The amount of power required to maintain something like that, it's incalculable. But as they drew closer, it became clear that all was not well at Nexus Prime. Flashes of weapons fire could be seen, and the station's energy field flickered erratically. "It's the Zarkef," Alaric said grimly. "They're trying to seize control of the Nexus." Through their mental link, Nova and Orion conveyed the gravity of the situation. If the Zarkef gained control of Nexus Prime, they would have access to countless dimensions, endless sources of energy to fuel their parasitic expansion. "We have to stop them," Alaric declared. "Samara, battle stations. Dr. Solberg, I need every scrap of power you can give the engines. We're going in." As the Lumina surged forward, they were met by a hail of enemy fire. The Zarkef had clearly been expecting resistance, and their fleet was vast. But the humans had learned much in their time with Nova and Orion, and the Lumina was no ordinary ship. Alaric stood at the center of the bridge, his mind melded with the young aliens and the ship's systems. He directed their defenses with preternatural speed and accuracy, weaving through the Zarkef formations. Multiple breaches on decks 3 through 7, Dr. Chen reported, her fingers flying over the tactical display. "They're trying to board us." Alaric gritted his teeth, seething bulkheads. "Samara, take a security team and repel the boarders. I'll handle things up here." As the battle raged both in space and within the corridors of the Lumina, Alaric felt a sudden surge of emotion from Nova and Orion. They were excited, no expectant, as if they had been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, the young Lumina began to glow with an intensity that outshone the stars themselves. Their bodies elongated, shimmering with otherworldly energy. Before the astonished eyes of the crew, Nova and Orion transformed into beings of pure light and cosmic power. "They've reached maturity," Alaric whispered in awe. This is their true form." The newly ascended Lumina turned their radiant gaze to Alaric, and in that moment he understood. They had been preparing for this, guiding the humans to this very point in space and time. Now, they needed Alaric and the crew to make a choice. Nova's voice, no longer just a mental impression, but a resonant cosmic tone, filled the bridge. "The Nexus calls, Alaric Voss. Will you stand with us as guardians of the cosmic balance?" Orion's voice joined in harmony. "The power to shape reality itself lies within Nexus Prime. In the wrong hands, it could unravel the very fabric of existence. But with your humanity, your compassion, and your indomitable spirit, we can forge a new path." Alaric looked around at his crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. They had come so far, learned so much. This was more than just a battle against the Zarketh. It was a defining moment for humanity's place in the cosmos. "We stand with you," Alaric declared, his voice unwavering. "Now and always." With a surge of power that shook the very foundations of space-time, Nova and Orion merged their consciousness with the Lumina and its crew. Alaric felt his mind expand, encompassing the vastness of the cosmos. He could see the strands of reality, the flow of energy between dimensions. As one unified being, they struck at the heart of the Zarketh fleet. Ships crumbled, their parasitic energy dissipating harmlessly into space. On Nexus Prime, the invaders found themselves outmatched by beings who could manipulate the very essence of reality. The battle was fierce, reality itself warping and shifting around them. But in the end, the combined might of humanity's spirit and Lumina cosmic power proved too much for the Zarketh. Their remaining ships fled, cast out of this dimension by the power of Nexus Prime. As the dust settled and the crew of the Lumina found themselves returned to their physical forms, they gazed in wonder at the transformed Nexus. It pulsed with newfound life and purpose, a beacon of hope and balance in the cosmos. Nova and Orion, still radiant in their ascended forms, turned to Alaric and the crew. "This is but the beginning," they said in unison. "The cosmos calls, and we have much work to do." Alaric nodded, a smile playing on his lips despite his exhaustion. He looked at his crew, seeing the same mix of excitement and trepidation on their faces. They had started this journey as simple researchers and explorers. Now they stood as guardians of cosmic balance, with the power to shape the very fabric of reality. "Well then," he said, straightening his uniform, "I guess it's time we answered that call." As Nexus Prime hummed with renewed energy, Alaric and his crew prepared to embark on their greatest adventure yet. The cosmos stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities and challenges. But together, human and Lumina, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The aftermath of the battle at Nexus Prime marked a turning point, not just for Alaric and his crew, but for humanity as a whole. As news of their victory spread across the cosmos, carried by channels beyond human understanding, Earth found itself thrust onto a galactic stage it had barely known existed. Back on Earth, the revelation of humanity's new role as cosmic guardians alongside the Lumina was met with a mixture of awe, excitement, and trepidation. Governments scrambled to adapt to this new reality, while scientists and philosophers grappled with the implications of humanity's expanded place in the universe. Aboard the Lumina, now permanently integrated with Nexus Prime, Alaric and his team began the monumental task of understanding and managing their new responsibilities. "It's like trying to drink from a fire hose," Dr. Chen remarked one day, her eyes bleary from poring over the vast databases now at their disposal. "The amount of knowledge here, it's beyond comprehension." Samara nodded in agreement, manipulating a holographic display of intertwining realities. And it's not just knowledge. The power we now have at our fingertips, it's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Alaric, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. The weeks since the battle had changed him. There was a new depth to his gaze, as if he was constantly looking at something beyond the physical realm. That's why we have to approach this with humility and caution, he said. We're not just explorers anymore. We're caretakers. As if summoned by his words, Nova and Orion appeared, their luminous forms casting a soft glow over the command center. Though they have fully ascended to their cosmic forms, they still maintained a deep bond with Alaric and the crew. You speak wisely, Alaric Voss. Nova's melodious voice resonated. The power of Nexus Prime is not to be wielded lightly. Orion's form shimmered in agreement. But do not let caution paralyze you. The cosmos needs your uniquely human perspective, your capacity for growth, for adaptation, for seeing possibilities where others see only chaos. Dr. Solberg, who had been uncharacteristically quiet since their return from the battle, finally spoke up. But how do we even begin? The scope of what we're dealing with, it's beyond anything we've ever trained for. A warm chuckle filled the air as Nova and Orion's forms intertwined. That, dear friends, is why we are here. To guide, to teach, and to learn alongside you. Over the next few months, the crew of the Lumina embarked on a journey of discovery unlike any other. They learned to navigate the intricate pathways between dimensions, to harness the energy of dying stars to heal wounded planets, and to communicate with life forms so alien that the very concept of language became meaningless. But with their newfound power and knowledge came great challenges. Remnants of the Zarketh, though scattered, still posed a threat. Other cosmic entities, curious about or wary of these new guardians, tested their resolve. And always, there was the delicate balance of the cosmos itself to maintain. One day, as Alaric stood at the heart of Nexus Prime, gazing out at the swirling tapestry of realities, he felt a familiar presence beside him. Nova and Orion, their forms now so vast that they seemed to encompass the stars themselves, joined him in his contemplation. You've come far, Alaric, Nova said softly. All of you have, but the journey is far from over. Alaric nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. I'm beginning to understand that the journey never really ends. There's always more to learn, more to discover. Orion's form pulsed with approval. That understanding, that endless curiosity, is why we chose humanity. You never stop growing, never stop questioning. As they spoke, a alert chimed softly. Samara's voice came over the comm system. Alaric, we're detecting a massive disturbance in Sector 7. It looks like a whole cluster of galaxies is being torn apart. Alaric straightened, his mind already reaching out to interface with Nexus Prime's systems. Looks like duty calls, he said, a hint of excitement in his voice. Shall we? Nova and Orion's forms began to merge with the station, their energy intertwining with the human crew's determination. Together, they said in unison. As Nexus Prime prepared to make the jump to Sector 7, Alaric took a moment to reflect. They had come so far from that fateful day on Thalassia IV. From a simple military commander to a guardian of cosmic balance, from a small research station to the nexus of all realities. The challenges ahead were immense, the responsibilities overwhelming. But as he felt the combined strength of his human crew and their Lumina allies, Alaric knew they were ready. All right, team, he said, his voice carrying across dimensions. Let's go save some galaxies. With a flash of light that rippled across the cosmos, Nexus Prime vanished, carrying its human and Lumina crew towards their next great adventure. The universe watched, waited, and wondered what this unique partnership would bring to the endless dance of creation and destruction. As they traveled, Nova and Orion shared a silent communication. The humans had exceeded even their wildest expectations. The next phase of cosmic evolution had begun, and at its heart was the indomitable spirit of humanity, guided by the wisdom of the Lumina. Together, they would forge a path to a future brighter than any star. The story of Alaric, Nova, Orion, And the crew of the Lumina was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. And as they sailed through the sea of stars, they carried with them the hopes, dreams, and potential of two species united in purpose. The cosmos trembled with anticipation, for the age of the human Lumina Guardians had dawned, and nothing would ever be the same again.